Before you spend $4,000 or $6,000 or maybe even $8,000 on hearing aids, there are 5 questions that you need to have answered. Because here's what most people don't realize. It's entirely possible to spend thousands of dollars on hearing aids and still not hear well. I've seen patients who were wearing hearing devices for 2 years before anyone verified that they were set up correctly. I've seen people pay premium prices for follow-up care that didn't actually exist. I've seen patients fit with whatever brand that clinic happened to carry, not what was best for their hearing. And the worst part, most of this is preventable. You're about to make a decision that affects how you communicate with your spouse, your kids, your grandkids, every single day. And it's not a small purchase. That's not a casual decision.
If you're navigating hearing loss or struggling with ringing in your ears, then you've come to the right place. The All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast is your go-to source for expert insights, real stories, and cutting-edge solutions in hearing health. We'll dive into the latest advancements in hearing healthcare, explore groundbreaking treatments for tinnitus, and offer practical tips for better hearing. Here to help you tune into a world of better hearing, here's your host from Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus, Dr. Layne Garrett.
I'm Dr. Layne Garrett, founder of Timpanogos Hearing and Tinnitus here in Utah, and I've been fitting hearing aids for over 20 years, and I'm going to say something now that might make some of my colleagues uncomfortable. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to make sure you don't make an expensive mistake. These 5 questions will tell you almost everything you need to know about whether a clinic is going to actually help you or just hand you a hearing aid and a receipt. And the first one, most people have never heard of it before, but it might be the single most important thing you ever ask an audiologist. Maybe you're thinking, I don't want to interrogate my audiologist. I'll just trust the professional. But should you? Think about what happens when trust goes wrong here. You spend thousands of dollars on hearing aids that are never verified to be programmed correctly. They sound off, but you might just assume that's what hearing aids sound like. And you struggle for years before someone finally does something called real ear measurements and discovers the amplification was 15 decibels off the entire time. Or you buy from a clinic that only carries one brand, so you got fit into a device that wasn't actually the best choice for your hearing loss because it was the only thing that they had on the shelf. Or you pay a premium price that supposedly includes follow-up care and then discover there's really no structured rehabilitation, just come back if something doesn't sound right. These are not horror stories. These are a typical Tuesday in our industry, and the patients who avoid them are almost always the ones who walked into their appointments prepared. If you're the kind of person who likes to understand what you're paying for before you buy it, you're in the right place. So ask, do you do real ear measurements? This is the single most important question you can ask, full stop. Real ear measurements, sometimes called probe microphone measurements, are the gold standard of hearing aid care. It's how we verify that the hearing aid is actually putting the sound in your ear that matches your specific hearing loss. We put a tiny little microphone in your ear canal while you're wearing the hearing aids and measure the real-world output. And here's why this matters. Every single ear canal is different. Different size, different shape, different resonance. 2 people with identical hearing tests can have completely different programming of their hearing aids just because of their ear anatomy. And the only way to know if the hearing aid is delivering the right sound is to measure it. Without real ear measurements, the audiologist is essentially guessing, relying on the manufacturer's default programming settings, which are based on average ears. Research is clear that nearly 2/3 of patients fit without real ear measurements are fit wrong. That means under-amplifying at some frequencies and over-amplifying at others, and a device that's performing worse than it should. And the thing that frustrates me, only about 30% of clinics actually do real ear measurements routinely, even though both the American Academy of Audiology and the American Speech-Language Hearing Association say it's the standard of care. The equipment costs a little bit of money. Some clinics don't have it. Some just don't prioritize it. So ask directly, do you perform real ear measurements on every fitting? If the answer is no, or if they hedge, like we do it sometimes, or most of our patients don't need it, I would strongly consider working with somebody else. The equipment exists, the evidence is clear. The only reason not to do it are cost and convenience for the clinic, not for you. The next question is, what brands of hearing aids do you carry? Now, this one catches people off guard, but think about it. If a hearing clinic only carries 1 or 2 hearing aid manufacturers, they're fitting your hearing into whatever they have, not finding out what's actually best for you. Different hearing aid manufacturers genuinely excel in different areas. Phonak tends to lead in Bluetooth connectivity and phone streaming. Widex has a reputation for rich, natural sound quality, particularly for music. Oticon's AI processing is especially strong in open, noisy environments like restaurants or group conversations. And Starkey does some very impressive things with background noise management and has added health tracking and fall detection features that do matter for certain patients. No single hearing aid manufacturer is right for everyone, and a clinic that only carries one brand or is locked into a vendor relationship isn't set up to match the devices to the patients. They're making you fit the hearing aid instead of finding the hearing aid that fits you. The audiologist should answer, we carry Oticon, Starkey, Widex, and Phonak. We recommend based on your specific hearing loss and lifestyle. The third question you should ask is, what does the price actually include? Hearing aid pricing is confusing on purpose. Two clinics can quote you the exact same dollar amount for what sounds like the same device, and one deal can be dramatically better than the other. You need to know whether the price is bundled or unbundled. Bundled pricing means that one fee covers the devices plus all of the follow-up care, fittings, adjustments, cleaning of hearing aids, reprogramming hearing aids, and hearing rehabilitation. Unbundled means you pay for the devices up front and then pay separately for every appointment afterwards. Neither model is automatically better, but you need to know which one you're buying. A bundled price of $6,000 that includes all of your follow-up care can be a much better value than an unbundled $4,500 plan where every adjustment appointment costs $150. It depends on your situation and how much follow-up care you'll need. Ask specifically, does this price include all follow-up appointments? What if I need reprogramming 6 months from now? Are accessories included? Is there a hearing rehabilitation program? Side note, a rehabilitation program is extremely important and is skipped by most clinics. And while you're at it, ask about financing. Premium hearing aids are kind of expensive, and getting proper treatment should not require anyone to pay for it all at once. A good clinic should have payment plans available. If they don't, or if they treat the question as unwelcome, that tells you something about what they think about their patients versus transactions. The fourth question is, what is your trial policy? Adjusting to hearing aids takes time. Your brain has been working without adequate sound input, sometimes for years. When you suddenly restore hearing, the world can sound too sharp, too loud, and strange. That's normal, and it does resolve with time, but it means you can't fully evaluate your hearing aids in that first week alone. Most states require a 30-day trial period by law. Some clinics go further because they know that's genuinely how long it takes for your brain to adapt enough to give the devices a fair evaluation. What you want to know is, how long is a trial period? What's refundable if I decide these aren't right for me? Are there any restocking fees? Red flags to watch for? A trial period that's shorter than 30 days, or high non-refundable fees. Any pressure to help you decide before you're ready is also a problem. And one more thing, during that trial period, you should expect real follow-up visits, not just call us if something's wrong. A good clinic will schedule check-in appointments during the adjustment period because that's when fine-tuning matters the most. If they're handing you a bag and saying goodbye until you return them or buy them, you're not getting the care that the trial period was designed to support. And then the last question is, how will you know if the hearing aids are actually working? This is the question that almost nobody asks, and it's the one that separates clinics doing real work from clinics that are just selling hearing devices. The standard answer at most clinics is, we'll ask you how you're doing. That's not enough. Subjective impressions do matter, but it can mislead you. Remember, you've been adapting to hearing loss gradually for years, and your baseline is off. You might think that everything sounds fine when you're still missing important information, because fine is better than what you're dealing with before. What you want is objective measurements, speech and noise testing like a QuickSIN that measures how well you actually understand speech and background noise, not just in a quiet booth. This tells us whether the hearing aids are performing in the real-world environments that matter most to you. We test before and after, and we can show you real numbers. So remember, ask your audiologist, what objective tests will you use to verify my hearing aids are working beyond just asking how I feel? If the answer is, we do our follow-up adjustments based on your feedback, push for more. A clinic serious about outcomes will measure outcomes. Hearing care done right is genuinely life-changing, not in a marketing brochure kind of way, but in a I can hear my granddaughter clearly for the first time kind of way. But it does have to be done right. And 5 questions asked to your audiologist before you sign anything is what right looks like from the patient side of the table. So the 5 questions: real ear measurements, yes or no? What brands do you carry? What does the price actually include? What's the trial policy? And how will you actually measure whether my hearing aids are working? Bring these 5 questions with you, whether you come to my clinic or somewhere else. Now, if you want to walk into your appointment confident instead of overwhelmed and guessing, I built a free learning center that breaks down all of this in plain English so you can make the right call. You can find a link in the description. And if you're here in Northern Utah and want a hearing evaluation where these 5 questions are answered before we even talk about price, that's exactly how we run our clinics. No pressure, no obligation, just clarity. A link to make an appointment is also in the description below.
A world of better hearing and relief from tinnitus is within reach, and we're here to help. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast right now and join us on the journey to clearer sound and a richer life. Thanks for listening to the All Ears Hearing and Tinnitus podcast with Dr. Layne Garrett. We'll see you next time.